All right. Michelle and her countdowns. Okay. So, hello Internet. Welcome to Broken and Remade. Yes, I am a preacher. Yes, I am wearing a t-shirt, jeans, and a hat. I might lose some of you because I don't look like a preacher, but guess what? I'm a preacher. Actually, I don't need my name tag either because I'm telling you I'm Bob Crane. So let me get rid of that. I see it in the reflection of myself. Okay, Broken and Remade. Here we are. Tonight, I am going to teach a message. It's a pretty interesting subject. I'm very interested in this subject, actually. It's about women. I'm married to one. She's a wonderful lady. But today in the world, okay, secular earthly world seems to apply or ascribe a day of recognition to every day. I mean, like today it might be like, you know, International Snails Day, or International Donuts with Sprinkles Day, or International, like, Sweep the Floor Day, or International, you know, I don't know, there's an international day of everything, okay? I today noticed that it is International Women's Day, all right? And it kept coming up on my Facebook. Facebook continues to remind me of what day it is, because they have these cool little borders I can put on around my little face on Facebook, right? And so that shows that I'm supporting the International Day of Today, okay? But I got thinking, today is International Women's Day, and you know, it's one of those things where I get a little bit weird about like celebrating all these different days. You know, all of us think like Hallmark's making a new day to make new cards for a new day. You know, it's like now there's Sweetest Day instead of Valentine's Day, or in addition to Valentine's Day. Now there's, you know, this day and that day and that day, and okay, anyway. But thinking about International Women's Day, and especially in the day and age we live in right now, the topic of men and women is pretty much at the forefront of the news. There's been some movements lately that have to do with women being mistreated, women being not given as many opportunities as men. We've seen it in like the movies. Just recently at the Oscars, one of the presenters was presenting the Best Director category, and she said that, you know, she named the three men, she said nominated are these men, and mentioned the woman separately to show the disparity, thank you, I couldn't get the word, I needed a woman to help me, that's going to play into the message tonight, to remind me of the word I needed tonight. So, you know, it's been a historical fact that men and women and their genders playing into positions and playing into authoritative positions have always been throughout history played off, okay? And but when you think through history, there's many, many women who actually are leaders. You know, we get this concept in churches that, you know, the woman needs to be quiet, humble, she has to wear her dresses, she has to be soft-spoken, she needs to stay, you know, in the kitchen. You ever hear that one? You know, in the stereotypical right-wing kind of mindset, you know, they'll leave it to Beaver House, right? Like, you stay home, June, and make the food, and we'll work and bring home the bread, because we're the men. That's not biblical. It's just not biblical at all. I want to go through some of the Bible, and I want to teach a little bit about women. Now, what does this have to do with Broken and Remade? All right? Broken and Remade, our ministry. You know, I want us in this group to be able to bring up many different topics that I feel, because of the fallen state of the world, are in a state of brokenness. And I really truly believe the way some men and the way society as a whole treats women is broken. Because we are called as men to love women even more than ourselves. We're supposed to love them. And many men struggle with that. We love ourselves. We like our toys. We like our electronic devices, our boats, our cars, so much more sometimes than our women. And it's a sad fact because the Bible handles women in such a different way. It's a broken topic in our world. And I want to look into the Bible and look at how God sees women and how God uses women so we don't mistreat them as men and that women don't get confused about their position and importance in the work of God and in this world in general. Okay? I'm going to start in Judges. Okay? In Judges. Right in chapter 2 of Judges, we just get to the point where a man named Joshua passes away. Okay? Joshua is the man who took over the leadership of Israel after Moses passed. Okay, Moses and his generation died. They were on their way to the promised land. They didn't quite make it because Moses died before they made it in there, and that was due to their rebellion, due to their not listening to God, and over again they fell into disobedience. And Joshua arises, and in our church here at Riverdale, Corey, our pastor, has been preaching verse by verse through Joshua, all right, and going through and teaching us the stories of Joshua. Well, this occurs right at the end of Joshua's life. So he dies, okay? And we see that in chapter 2 of Judges here. I'm going to read in verse 6. It says, when Joshua dismissed the people of Israel went each to his inheritance to take possession of the land. Okay, so at this point, they've now conquered the land that they were promised. They're all going back home to their places that were allotted to their families. Okay, the 12 tribes are going home. And it says, and the people served the Lord all the days of Joshua. Awesome. That is really cool. Because this was directly after they disobeyed during the days of Moses, over and over again. Even when Moses was up on the mountain getting the law from God, they waited 40 days for him, and they're like, where is Moses? What's going on? He's up in this cloud. They can't see him. He's up on top of a mountain. None of them are allowed to touch the mountain or else they'll drop dead. They wait these 40 days. They're like, he's never coming back. They talk to Aaron, and they end up taking and collecting all the gold that they have because they're like, we've got to have a God to worship. We need a leader over us. So they melt down their gold and make a calf. You've heard of the golden calf story in the Bible, and they get up and play, it says, which means they were sexually partying down at the bottom of the hill to this god, this calf, this golden animal that they created. And God told Moses, get out of my way, I am going to slaughter them, and we're starting over with you. And he was going to wipe out the whole nation, but Moses begged and pleaded and convinced God, even though in God's foreknowledge he probably knew the whole story. Moses begged and pleaded for God not to kill them, and he through his grace and mercy and long-suffering, he held back that wrath, and he allowed Moses to go down, and that's when Moses broke the tablets in front of all the people and screamed and hollered at them, and then after they got, he got everything back from God, and then he introduced the law to the people. Okay, this whole story, all right? That generation was horrible during Moses' day, complaining after they got free of Egypt and the slavery, okay? So now Joshua, though, it says they served him all the days of Joshua. That's awesome. And it says, and all the days of the elders who outlived Joshua, who had seen all the great work that the Lord had done in Israel. And Joshua, the son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, he died at the age of 110 years. So he started this whole thing at 90. He's now 110. He dies, and he was buried. It says, and they buried him within the boundaries of his inheritance in Timnath Heres, in the hill country of Ephraim. Okay, so Joshua's dead and gone now. All right, so that we're talking about all the way through verse 10. Watch how fast this happens. Verse 11. And the people of Israel did what was evil in the sight of the Lord and served the Baals. Wow. How quick did Israel turn from serving the Lord all the days of Joshua. They had this great leader, right? They followed their leader Joshua. He drew a line in the sand and said, choose this day, who will you serve? Will you serve the Lord? As far as me and my house, we will serve the Lord, right? And the children of Israel chose, we're going to serve our God. Joshua dies. In verse 11, the people of Israel did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and they served the Baals. And they abandoned the Lord, the God of their fathers, who had brought them out of the land of Israel. They went after other gods from among the gods of the people who were around them, and they bowed down to them, and they provoked the Lord to anger. Boy, that didn't take long. They go instantly from our great leader, man of God, to serving the Baals and other gods. Unfortunately, many followers, believers, put their faith in a man, and they follow a man's teachings, but they never in their heart grasp the relationship with the Lord themselves. All of us need to grasp the relationship we have with the Lord for ourselves. It's not your dad, your mom, it's not your family, it's not your pastor who matters the most. He's teaching you great things, and you may serve the Lord all the days of your pastor. But what happens when he's gone? What happens when no one's there to hold you accountable? Do you fall back into the way of serving idols? Instantaneously, once that person's gone, are you worshiping man or are you worshiping God? Okay? What does this have to do with women, Bob? We're getting there. So then, it says in verse 16 of chapter 2, then the Lord raised up judges who saved them out of the hand of those who plundered them, yet they did not listen to their judges, for they whored after other gods and bowed down to them. They soon turned aside from the way in which their fathers had walked, who had obeyed the commandments of the Lord, and they did not do so. Whenever the Lord raised up judges for them, the Lord was with the judge, and he saved them from the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge. So what happened after Joshua was the people went right after bad gods or false gods, all after their idols. They walked away from God. And then it says God raised up judges, people over top of them, to try to bring them back to the knowledge of the Lord, to judge over them, rule over them. And it says here, they didn't listen to those judges. They were there to save them out of the hand of them who plundered them, yet they did not listen to their judges. And they continued to whore after the other gods. Okay? They turned away from their fathers and their God. But listen to that verse 18. Whenever the Lord raised up judges for them, the Lord was with the judge, and he saved them from the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge. For the Lord was moved to pity by their groaning because of those who afflicted and oppressed them. But whenever the judge died, they turned back and were more corrupt than their fathers. So every time God brought a saving person, someone who through them they would redeem their people. He'd bring another one. Now, it wasn't the people that were turning to God, but God was with the judge and saving the people. Do you see that? They were still in their rebellion. They still were ready to turn to false gods, but God saved them anyway out of his compassion, out of his grace through this judge. That's pretty amazing. And as you continue through Judges, you get to verse 7. Verse 7 says, and the people of Israel did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. They forgot the Lord their God and served the Baals and the Ashtaroth. That was like directly after one of the judges. Then you get to verse 12. And the people of Israel again did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord strengthened Eglon, the king of Moab, against Israel, because they had done what was evil in the sight of the Lord. You see that? Another judge comes, saves them from their enemies, then they fall right back into it again. And then you continue on and go to chapter 4. Chapter 4, verse 1. Here we go. And the people of Israel again did what was evil in the sight of the Lord after Ehud died. Okay? That's one of the judges. Now, do you see a pattern? See this? This pattern continues through history. Even with us. It continues. We continue to fall into idolatry. We continue to walk away from our God. We continue to just want to please ourselves. No matter what generation it is, it continues. And that's what's going on here. And it says here, and the Lord sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, who reigned in Hazor. The commander of his army was Sisera, who lived in Harosheth Hagoyim. Then the people of Israel cried out to the Lord for help, for he had 900 chariots of iron, and he oppressed the people of Israel cruelly for 20 years. So for 20 whole years, they rebelled against God, and they were being punished through this other king. Okay? It's a lot of background, a lot of history things. I know it's confusing a little bit. All right. But here we are in verse 4 of chapter 4. Now, Deborah. This woman, I love this. Let's see how she's doing in the kitchen. Okay? Let's see how she's doing taking care of the men as a meek little dress-wearing girl. Okay? Let's see what this meek and mild and quiet woman does here. It says, now Deborah, a prophetess. Oh, wait a minute. A prophetess? Wait, women have to be quiet. Women should not speak out. Women should not have any kind of teaching abilities. You're a woman. You have a place, right? That's the stereotype. By the way, that is not my teaching. If you jumped into the video just now, that's going to look wrong. Make sure you watch from the beginning and you hear the whole context. It says here, Deborah was a prophetess, which means she was speaking the word of God, which means she was teaching what God wanted her to teach. It means she was in authority given by God as a woman to speak his word. Ooh, that's interesting. And it says here, she was the wife, so she's married. Where's her husband? Her husband should be the one talking, because the husband's the head of the household. What is this prophetess doing if she's a wife, right? It says, the prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, must be a really weak man. I mean, come on, Lapidoth. What are you doing with Deborah talking? She was judging Israel at that time. She used to sit under the palm of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim, and the people of Israel came up to her for judgment. Wow. A prophet and a judge and a woman. Dun, dun, dun! A powerful, powerful woman. And listen to this. In verse 6, she sent and summoned Barak, the son of Abinoam, from Kadesh Naphtali, and said to him, has not the Lord, the God of Israel, commanded you? Go gather your men at Mount Tabor, taking 10,000 from the people of Naphtali and the people of Zebulun, and I will draw out Sisera, the general of Jabin's army, to meet you by the river Kishon with his chariots and his troops, and I will give him into your hand. Isn't that what the Lord said? And Barak said to her, if you'll go with me, I will go. But if you will not go with me, I will not go. Oh, I love that part. She looks at this guy and says, the Lord told you to take an army and go. You're supposed to go. This is the word of the Lord. And this man, this mighty man, this leader of armies, do you know what he said? I'm not going unless you go. He knew that woman was a woman of God, and he needed the help from her. When women were created, it was in the garden. And everything had been good up to this point. God had created all kinds of things and called it good. But there came a moment where God noticed something about the man. The man needed a helper. The man needed a companion. The man alone was not perfect in the creation yet. He was perfect as far as God created him, sinless and all that stuff. Sin would enter someday. But here's what happens. He looks at the man and says, no, I'm going to make him go to sleep. I'm going to take a rib from him, and I'm going to form him a helper. I'm going to form him a companion. And when he came to Adam and he saw Eve made from the rib of his own body, he said, I'll call her Eve because she came from me. And she was a helper to Adam. And women all through history are helpers that men need. When God created woman, then he was able to look at the creation and say, now it is very good. We need women in our lives. We need them. It is something that God has set up. And it says there that Barak wants her to go with him. I just love that. And then they go on and they succeed. They have some moments where Sisera flees away from them and they go to battle and she's right there. Deborah is right there. And chapter 5, they make a song together, like Barak and Deborah. It's the song of Deborah and Barak, chapter 5. It says, Then sang Deborah and Barak the son of Abinoam on that day, that the leaders took the lead in Israel, that people offered themselves willingly, bless the Lord. Hear, O kings, give ear, O princes. To the Lord I will sing, I will make melody to the Lord, to the God of Israel. Lord, when you went out from Seir, when you marched from the region of Edom, the earth trembled and the heavens dropped. Yes, the clouds dropped water. The mountains quaked before the Lord, even Sinai before the Lord, the God of Israel. They just go on and sing and sing and sing. And I just love the fact that Deborah was right there. So with that in mind, okay, we're going to go to a section of the Bible that is used all the time to talk about women. All right, Proverbs 31. There's even a ministry called Proverbs 31 Ministries, and it's all about women. All right, because this is the go-to of teaching about a good woman. A woman that is what the Lord wants a woman to be. Okay? And I want us to go through this now, and not forgetting Deborah, not forgetting the prophetess, not forgetting the battler, the woman leader, the one when Israel fell away from the Lord was there to help save them because God was using her to do so. Don't forget that woman because she is in this proverb. Not just the meek and mild and quiet and shh. Only do what your husband says, woman. Okay? Listen carefully here. Here's what I like in my Bible here at the top. There's a header. The words of King Lemuel. So this is a king writing this. A king. A man with authority. A man with power. A man with strength. King Lemuel is about to tell us a little bit about women. And here, this first part gets skipped quite often. We always like to go to verse 10. All right, verse 10 is where it begins. But we're going to start right in verse 1. It says, the words of King Lemuel, an oracle that his mother taught him. I love that. Mommy taught him this. A good woman. The mother of a king. The mother of a king. He's still speaking out this proverb, these words of wisdom that his mother taught him. You know how much wisdom our mothers can impart to us? They really can. If we'll just listen. If we'll just open our ears and just really take in. Here's a king who understands the strength of his mother. And he says here, what are you doing, my son? This is what the mother's saying to King Lemuel. What are you doing, son of my womb? What are you doing, son of my vows? Do not give your strength to women, your ways to those who destroy kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, or for rulers to take strong drink, lest they drink and forget what has been decreed, and they pervert the rights of all the afflicted. Give strong drink to the one who is perishing, and wine to those in bitter distress. Let them drink and forget their poverty, and remember their misery no more. Open your mouth for the mute, for the rights of all who are destitute. Open your mouth, judge righteously, and defend the rights of the poor and needy. Boy, that right there sounds like Christ-likeness. This is lacking so much in some churches. We don't reach out with that heart of a mother talking to a king and reach out to the poor, to the needy, to those who are hurting, to those like us, the broken, the remade through God, we must do more to help others. We are so selfish. We are so self-centered. But this mother to the king Lemuel is telling him, don't do that. Don't just get drunk with wine. Don't feed yourself with those women. The women that just want to put themselves out there and please you. Please your lust. Let you just go down the path of drunkenness and lasciviousness and play out all your fantasies. That's not what she wants for her son. That's why she's about to talk about, or King Lemuel is about to talk about women. Because what he's going to say here, his mother's trying to teach him about what kind of wife this man should be looking for. You don't want one of those women who think that they're just there to please a man in power, to be a sexual object. You don't want that, son. Don't go after the wine, the drunkenness. Don't do it. This is what you should be looking for. Now, ready? I love this. In that context. And remembering Deborah. In verse 10. An excellent wife, who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. Women are to be trusted. And their heart, our heart as husbands, must just trust in our wives. And it says here, she does him good and not harm all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and, listen to this, works with willing hands. Any man who tells you that you have no right working, no right, you back up. I'm the man of this house. Let me take care of it. Let me win the bread. Let me be the ruler. This is my place. Well, this woman works with willing hands. You know, in churches today, I see so many more women in positions of service than I do men. Our nursery workers, our Sunday school teachers, well, not Sunday school teachers, the children's church workers is what I'm talking about. You know, how few men step up into some of these roles? Well, that's a woman's role. I mean, come on, the kids? Throw a woman in there and give all the kids to the woman. Well, that's not the woman's job. It's everybody's job. But do you know why the women are there? Because no men are there. It's got to get done. So we get it done. I praise the women that serve God. You know, the kitchen. We instantly think, we got to get some ladies drummed up to make a meal. We got to find the ladies because we want to have a nice dinner while we do some Bible study. It's instantly thinking, we need the women. Why can't the men help? Why can't we make meals? I do an okay stir fry. Why can't we get back there, throw on some aprons? Well, you know what? The women don't think, well, I'm the woman, I better do it. You know what they think? Well, it needs to get done, let's do it. They're not talking to each other like, all right, girls, we're the ladies. Let's go do the ladies' work. No, it's like, listen, these men and women, all of them, the church, they need to be fed. Let's get it done. I've seen women in our church do it. We have some wonderful women at this church. I have seen multiple ones just step up and take on that role because no one else does. And they work. And that's awesome. And God sees that. And God praises that. And it says here she seeks wool and flax and works with her willing hands. I love that part, by the way. It doesn't take much to force a woman to help. You know that? We're short on people for class. What do? I see 3 women pop up and go, let me help you. But do you know what you know what I see a lot of times? Those in leadership of the children's ministry, begging and pleading some men to get in there. I mean, can you help us, please? I guess, if I have to. But I see women jump up. I'll go in there. I'll serve. I'll help. I'll do it. That's how this woman is in Proverbs 31. It says here, she is like the ships of a merchant. She brings her food from afar. She rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. She considers a field and buys it. I like that part. She invests. She's like, listen, we've got to get this done. We got to take care of business. So this woman, she looks at her family and says, we need to get this done now. She goes out and she buys a field. Well, how did she do that? Isn't that the man's job? We got to go buy the field. We got to buy the house for you, women, right? No. This woman just takes charge. And she buys it. And it says, with the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. She dresses herself, I love this verse, and this is my theme verse for today. She dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. Boy, that's not a good Baptist description of a woman. All right, women, we're going to talk about your dress today. How are you supposed to dress, ladies? I want your skirts to be at least an inch below your kneecap, praise God. Because if I see the bottom of your kneecap, I am just going to think you're just a hussy. I see the bottom of your kneecap. That is too much, girls. Don't we hear that a lot? You can't wear jeans? What, you're wearing pants? You're a lady. You gotta look like a lady. Listen, I've never seen my wife in jeans and thought, who's this guy? I've never done it. I've never looked at my wife and thought, there is a strange man in my apartment right now. Who is this? Jeans don't make the man or the lady. I mean, I know it's a lady. It's so silly. We get so caught up in some of this stuff. I mean, we really do. I mean, we're laughing about it. But do you know how many people I would offend right now in certain churches? Do you know how many people would be mad at me right now because I'm talking about this? Because I'm saying the length of the pants is wrong? Or I allow you to wear shorts instead of culottes? Because culottes are so much more wholesome than shorts. I can see the bottom of your legs out of those culottes, but those culottes are a little fluffier on the bottom, so that's not so much, provocative for me. But your shorts, that Nike swoosh on the bottom there, that's just, too much for me to handle as a man. How silly does this sound? But you know what's sad? To some it's not silly. But imagine this. If I tell you, women, do you know what I want you to do? Forget the clothes part. Keep them on. I'm not saying take your clothes off. This sounded wrong. Forget talking about the outer wear, okay? Here's what I want you to clothe yourself with. You ready? She dresses herself with strength. Oh boy. That is unbiblical, Bible. Because women shouldn't be strong. They should be meek and mild and sweet. They should look like little ladies. They should have the right little hairstyles. And they should look pretty for us. They should paint their face up a little bit. Listen, clothe yourselves with strength. I have met some of the strongest people in the world, and they're ladies. My wife, oh boy, she hates when I do this. She's not even going to look me in the eyes. She might even tear up if I say too much. But listen, I, in my life, personally, have never, ever known a stronger woman. You know that? My wife is a survivor of abuse. She can talk about specifics someday when she wants to share it. But horrible, unspeakable abuse for many, many years of her life. But what she did, you know what she did? She only invested herself in about 300 years of college. I don't know exactly, 14 years-ish. 14 years of college to try to become someone successful and survive this tormented past that she had to live through. And you know what? She didn't dwell on it. You know what she did? She dressed herself in strength and she said, I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to survive this, but I'm not only going to survive it. I'm not just some victim who just made it. I'm going to put on strength. This is going to cause me to step up and be strong. Stronger than ever before. And she did. She went through college. She waited. She desperately wanted, I shouldn't say desperately. She very much wanted to be a wife. She very much wanted to be a family lady. But you know what? At that time, She had to push with her strength to do what she knew would set her up for her future. And I'm so thankful because I need her. I need her so bad. I need her strength. I don't need the soft, meek, mild. I love that part. I really do. And there's times when I need it, by the way. She nurtures. She comforts. But you know what? She has been a balance beam for me. She has been somebody who's leveled me off. My son and I, after my divorce, I was not a good example to the boy. I was not a good example at all. I lived a terrible life. I went back into the world. I was drinking again. I was introducing him to all kinds of friends, all these different ladies that I was talking to, and, oh, I want you to meet my son. This is so-and-so. He remembers meeting multiple people through the years, and we laid on mattresses on the floor. My priorities were all messed up. They were just all messed up. But then Michelle came along, a strong, strong woman. And she, with her strength, she lifted me out of the dirt. She really did. She lifted me up. And so many of us men are lifted up by strong women. There's so many of you that are so strong. You know, I know widows who just keep going. I know people who, at an instant, would drop everything if you call them to go do anything for you. One of them sitting in this room. And she's done so much for my family that it's ridiculous. We wouldn't be able to handle life without this woman. And, you know, sometimes my wife and I get frustrated at this woman because of how much she says yes to. But who are we to tell her, start saying no. You need to stop being so busy. You're stressing yourself out. But you know what? She's one of the strongest women I know. It's true. In seeing other people here who I'm mentioning widows and people who, they still get out of the house. They still find themselves in setting up plans for weekends and getting out and about and doing all kinds of things. And we could give up. But man, I watch these women never give up. And I'm just amazed. They dress themselves with strength, and they make their arms strong. Boy, that's just not good preaching, Bob. I want your arms strong, women. I want you to keep going, to keep pressing on. Do you know why? Because there's a world of men who need you. There is an absolute world of men who need you, because nothing would get done without women. I'm telling you, if it was a world of just men, okay, first off, we couldn't reproduce. Okay, understood. I know the biology. But listen, if it was a world of men, eventually what would happen is we would be a society of people sitting in front of a glowing screen with a controller in our hands. And there'd be nothing getting done. And we would die. We'd eventually just forget to eat. We would forget that we'd have to use the restroom, so we'd be just like wallowing in our muck. And we would just absolutely forget what needs to happen. You know how certain men like to use the word nag. You ever heard a man referenced as a nag? The reason women nag is because we need it. Or we wouldn't move. It's not nagging, it's leading you to responsibility. That's what Michelle does. Bob, are you almost done with that game? Bob, we got to get going soon. Who drank the last of the milk? You got to tell me. Are we out of lunch meat? We got to go get lunch meat. There's nothing left in the cabinet. When are we going to the grocery store? Stop nagging me, Michelle. No, you know what? She makes sure we get things done, and I need her. We need women. Strong women. And it says here in verse 17 where we said, she dresses herself with strength. She makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. Oh, that describes so many women I know. Hey ladies, I got a question. Even out there, are you getting enough sleep? How's sleep going? You just sleep in all the sleep you want. Maybe you get a chance. And some ladies can say, yes, good for you. I'm happy that you get enough sleep. But a lot of women, man, they have to do stuff all night long. Something else needs to be done. Something else needs to be done. I got to get this done. If we don't do it now, it's never going to get done. Michelle tells me that all the time, but most of the time I don't hear her because I'm next to her sleeping. Like, Bob, do you hear me? Are you listening? Huh? No, I'm sleeping. Hey. Oh, so many nights. The lamp seems never to go out for her. I see Michelle having to work. Rihanna just popped into my head. Man, it's a bad one for me tonight. ADHD is kicking in full effect. She puts her hands to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. She opens her hands to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid. Oh, this is not a lot of us right now. She's not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household are clothed in scarlet. Michelle makes sure we have coats. She just bought Tim a coat. Women aren't afraid of snow. We'll just get coats. We'll get bundled up. No worries. Come on. Put 10 layers on. Be like the good kid in Christmas Story. I can't move my arms. I can't move my arms. Right? So our mothers, our ladies are thinking ahead. Bob, where are your gloves? Bob, where's your hat? Are you going out like, it's 20 degrees out there? I forgot. I get my gloves. She makes sure. She's not scared of it. She just wants to prepare for it. That's why we always have a Mary Poppins bag everywhere we go. When we pack for a trip, it kills me. I have my backpack. Bloop. All right, let's go. She's like, well, we got to take 3 trips out to the car because we have these other 7 bags. I'm like, what are those? I got my backpack. I'm good. This is everything for the whole week. She's like, no, we need this. It has our, emergency supplies for this. This has this in it. This has that. And I'm like, why do we need all that? We don't need all that. There is no way we're going to need all that. Well, guess what? Halfway into the trip, I'm like, do we have any antacids? She's like, oh yeah, and that one bag you said we didn't need. Oh, thanks, honey. Babe, do we have any ibuprofen? Yep, it's in that other bag you said we didn't need. Okay, thanks, honey. You've seen it, Tim, haven't you? Yeah, totally. Yeah. I'm so thankful for her mind. And it says here, she makes bed coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. I love that part. Look what the man's doing. Oh, what did she do? She's working the field. She's making sure everyone's taken care of. Oh, it's snowing. Let's get you bundled up. We got to get this taken care of. I gotta put my strength on. I've got to work the fields. Let's go buy this field. We need a field. We got to prepare. We got to save up. Okay, also the man can sit in the gate among the elders of the land. Hey, honey, I'm important. I'm with the leaders. We're the men. We lead this world. Well, great. You go sit there while I just go do everything else. You ever feel like that, ladies? You ever feel like the man just sometimes wants to just sit there while you do everything else? And who gets the recognition? The elder at the gate. Oh, it's Elder so-and-so. Hello. Hello, my people. Oh, hang on. Oh, my back's sore. I've been sitting all day. Let me move. Okay. Hello, it's good to see you. As the woman's like, not even thinking about how she's feeling in pain because she's like, this has got to get done. This has got to get done. I got to do that. Man, I'm so thankful for women. I really am. As I sit in the gate. She makes linen garments and sells them. She delivers sashes to the merchant. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and teaching of kindness is on her tongue. Great teachers. Some of my best teachers I've ever had were all the women teachers. You know why? The men teachers? You know why I like men teachers? Oh, this is an easy class. He doesn't make me do a whole lot of work. He's cool. He makes jokes. He's funny. But you know who the best teachers were? The ones who really stuck it in my brain and gave me something to take with me, and I learned a lesson? They were my women teachers. And it says there that when she opens her mouth with wisdom, the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Whoa, us men sure do. Honey, we got more bread? I'm hungry. As the woman is like not able to be idle. She can't sit there and relax for half a second. And it says her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Let me challenge the men for a second. How few times do we praise women? Even those who are not married. How many times do we talk back to women? I'm looking at my son right now, Cameron. Hang on, I'll be right back. How many times do we look at women and disrespect them? How many times do we think, ugh, don't tell me what to do? How many times? I'm not going to make him answer out loud, but he knows exactly who I'm talking to, and maybe you know who I'm talking to out there. And maybe I am talking to myself, Tim. Don't point at me. We should be praising women. We should be treating them well. We should be uplifting them. We should be thanking them. We should be talking out the thankfulness we have for them, but we don't. What are you looking at me like that for? What?
Didn't point.
Oh, good.
I was doing the number.
Then that must have been my own guilt. Okay. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain. Listen, it's not about how you look, ladies. I know that's a very, very hard thing. You ever go to the grocery store after a busy day, and you're just like, okay, I just got to pick up like one thing. I look like a train hit me, but I'll just go pick this up, and I probably won't see anyone I know, so it'll just be a really quick thing, no big deal. And you get out there, and all of a sudden you hear, hi, so-and-so, and you look like, oh, they see me like this. You know what? That's okay. That's okay. So many times, there's this expectation for women to paint the face just to go get a gallon of milk at the grocery store just in case someone sees them. That's sad we've set this world up like that. It really is. How painted up do us men have to get? All we got to do is walk into the bathroom, run a little water, and go, good enough, and run out the door real quick. And we don't care who we run into because I have no paint on me. I have no special hidden, let me show you my beauty through this fake process. Listen, it's not about that. Listen, it's deceitful, and beauty is vain. But a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. Hear where they just said she should be praised? In the gates. Who was in the gates? The husband and the elders. The leaders. Not enough leaders. Not enough men in positions of authority uplift and praise the women. Not enough of them recognize what's going on in the background and realizing. Now, I've heard great men do it, and I'm thankful for that. I have heard men say, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my wife. I could not do this unless it was for my wife. But if you're not one of those people, you need to start being one of those people. And if you feel run down as a lady, and you feel beat up as a lady, let me tell you that if man isn't doing a good enough job of making you feel appreciated, the Lord God has treasure upon treasure upon treasure for you. I am not going to be surprised if all of us, when we arrive at glory, okay, are going to look around at the treasures that were stored up for us there by God and see that men's piles are maybe an eighth of the size of women's piles. Because so many men are prideful and like to be praised on earth. Tell me how important I am. I want you to see look at what I did. Boy, that used to be my phrase, by the way, my mom to this day. Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. See what I do? You remember Stuart from Mad TV? Look at I can do. Look at I can do. Remember that? And if you didn't watch Mad TV, you were a good Christian and didn't watch shows like that. Think of any child. Look what I did, Mom. Look what I did, Mom. A lot of us boys love that attention. And you ever have a boy, you'll know this. I have a boy. I used to tell him all the time, Tim, stop narrating your life. Stop narrating your life. Because the whole time he's like, look, Dad, look, look how fast I'm going in this car, Dad. Look it. He's playing a video game. He's like, hey, Dad, I just set a record, Dad. Hey, Dad, look it over here. Look real quick. look at what I'm going to do here. Oh, look, I'm shooting in this game, and look how good I am at being a sniper. Look how good I am at shooting. Hey, Dad, come here. I just want to show you one thing. I know you don't want to hear too much, but come here. You ever seen a boy do that? Oh, yes. I've been a boy that does it. Michelle, before you go to bed. Hey, real quick, look at. Do you know what I like? I like my treasures here and now. But do you know what women, for the most part, not a lot of women are doing it for themselves. Not a lot of women are trying to seek praise, and that's awesome. Because what's happening is the Lord's storing up your treasure. I know you don't feel like this earth is giving you any kind of love. I know you feel like you're not appreciated for the amount you do. If you put it on the scale, I've got to tell you, this world does not praise you enough for what you do. None of you. No one, as a woman, is praised enough in this world. But in the other world, in the world to come, I'm telling you, God is going to heap treasure upon you because He sees every single thing you're doing. And I'm sorry as a man. I'm sorry to my wife. I'm sorry to every woman I know that I as a man am too stupid and blind to be able to see every detail of what you're doing for us and praising you enough for it. I'm sorry. I need my wife to forgive me. So many of us men need that forgiveness. And so many women are broken because of a man. So many women. Men have damaged women throughout history. And women are so important. We have to stop. Any broken woman out there who's been hurt by a man, in whatever way, whether it was a dad, whether it was an ex-boyfriend, whether it was an ex-husband, whether it's a current husband, whatever it is, whatever man has hurt you, I'm sorry for that. But you have a man in Jesus who knows everything you're doing. And you have a father, a true father in heaven, who exceeds anything your daddy ever did to you. A father who loves you purely and wholly for who you are and what you're doing. And someday He promises to reward you for that. So keep going. Please keep going. I have so much more to say, but that's where I'm going to stop right now. God loves women. He created them after He created man because He knew man needed something else. And I'm so glad He did. You better start treating them right, men. You understand? We love you. We love you, women. I love a lot of you women. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. I did that for my wife to look weird at me. All right, let's pray. Father, it's a weird message to teach as a man. It's something that trying to see how it fits into Broken and Remade, it was a bit of a challenge for me, but I knew you were leading me in this way, and I knew you wanted me to say something about this, and I knew I needed to ask forgiveness for the way I treat women. I don't hold them in the respect you do. I need to. I need to see what's going on in the background and understand how much they're doing. So many times this world's set up to praise men of power and men in authority, and it's not even about equality, Lord. It's just about respect. It's so about respect and recognition and acknowledging what's going on. And I acknowledge right now before you, God, that I am thankful for the amount of work women do in this world. And I'm sorry that men have hurt women. And I'm sorry that there's been so much going on about men hurting women in the news. And I pray that, Father, your justice will be done and you will uplift women. And that you'll help them and strengthen them. And as they're dressing themselves in strength and as they're putting on strong arms and upholding their families and they're just doing the best they can out of the love that's in their heart, such a pure love that women have, I pray that you'll bless them I know they're storing up treasures in heaven, but Father, I pray you also, right now, in the lives of any woman listening to this or hearing this right now, that you'll uplift them spiritually and just in their soul, just uplift them. Show them the love you have for them and the thankfulness that we have now. Let it pour out all over them, and let them just feel the love that we have and the love that you have. Father, let me be a better representation of you in love toward women, and that I'll give the respect they deserve, and that our churches across America also will no longer think there's some kind of extra favor you give to men. But no, we are daughters and sons of Christ, or of you, Father, through Christ. And I pray that you'll help us to understand that. I love you so much, and I thank you for the creation of women. Thank you for not leaving me alone. Thank you for giving me a helper. And I thank you so much for it in Jesus' name. Amen. Michelle, you don't want to talk about yourself? This is your chance. Talk about women. Your own little woman self.
Nope.
All right. I'll hit the button even. I don't... Because like usually I make it her responsibility, but this isn't one of those things where it's like, hey woman, you're just a woman. I'm a teacher. You hit the button on the camera because that's your job. You hit the button on the camera because it's your job. Oh, I got to go. All right. See, that's why I have a woman right there. See, she stopped me before I went too far. Okay, I gotta go. Where's the button? Honey, where's the button? Is it this one? Come in. Oh, I need women so bad. No, not women, plural. Woman. I need my woman. Anyway, too much. Goodbye.